Okay, it looks like we are finally live in Arlington, Vermont. Being a little late, and I'm sorry about that for those who are planning to be here live. Uh, but basically, what had happened was my time management was not anywhere near where it's supposed to have been. Got everything done, but just not in a timely manner. One thing that threw me off was today I wound up, instead of going to uh, the Quaker meeting that I'm used to going, what had happened is that the Quaker meeting that I started out with, one of the members was celebrating her 99th birthday. So one more year to go to hit even centurion. So that's where That's why this is going to be a short one tonight, because by the time I got home, it's 7:15, so it's going to be only a half-hour show tonight, which I actually wasn't really planning on much today. So that actually sort of kind of works out, but unfortunately it does throw everyone else's schedule off that was hoping to, join in at 6:45 instead of 7:15. Since Well, it says there's a second person watching, but I do not know who that is. Uh, it's one of the normal crew that I know of. They usually put something in the chat, but if it's somebody who's a regular but doesn't chat, welcome. I can only. Yes, Rail Artists. I said Quaker meeting. That is the religion I have landed upon. Years ago, a friend of mine turned around and said, if you're looking for a good woman, go to a church singles group. My reply was, I want to find a church first, then look. And interesting thing is, I think I found a spiritual home. However, I think I'm the youngest one there. And most of the women are either married, widowed, or is absolutely not interested in having a relationship at all, because they didn't have a good thing with guys and all that. But she's very happy being by herself, I guess, which is okay, because I've come to the conclusion that I myself have been single for so long I wouldn't know what to do in a relationship. Descendant of William Penn. Interesting. So, so I'm assuming you're originally from Pennsylvania, or at least your family is. So, yeah, I think trying to think now. My parents weren't really religious. Gotcha. But now my parents were never really. They weren't really religious. Then when I moved to Pittstown, we had two choices. We either had the Catholic or the Methodist. Yeah, pretty much. The way I look at it is that reality is way too complicated for anybody, really. We only see, the visual spectrum is only, this small compared to, everything from 1 hertz up to I'm trying to think now. The high ends of high frequency radiation and stuff like that. And same thing with with our hearing. We only hear a very small portion of, I think it was something like under, we can, it's from, I want to say 20 hertz to like 19,000 hertz or something like that. But it's, that's why they have dog whistles, because they are at a higher frequency than what we can hear at. And we only have five senses. So, I mean, we now have electronic sensors that are a lot more sensitive than what we have. So nice. That's another thing is that depending on, some religions get along well with each other. They're very close. Then there's other ones that are, almost warlike against each other. And that's why I was looking for a church to go to. So at least we would have the same theology. And I have come across that there are churches that are very similar to Quakerism. I want to say they look at the same light, but from a different direction. And that's it's more of a I would have to say Quakers don't preach what they don't practice. So it's one of those things of, if you have, say, somebody who's smoking, they won't say, hey, you shouldn't be smoking. They realize that they're being hypocritical and, well, don't say anything about it. It's like, it's more of a, I know it's bad, but I can't help it. And, Quakerism in itself is very, very complicated. Very complicated history. I mean, it's not as simple as people would rather like it to be. People like things simple, and Quakerism is not a simple thing, especially in the United States. There's four major branches. There's liberal, orthodox, conservative, and evangelical. And the farthest from, I want to say the farthest from a normal church is the one I go to, which is the liberal. It's an unprogrammed meeting, and you're just praying in silence for an hour. That's all it is. And there's not quite a hierarchy as we're used to. So that's another thing that's had a hard time. I had a hard time wrapping my head around, because when you say who's in charge and they say we all are, it's like, what? But this is not a theological channel. There's other ones that are for that, like Religion for Breakfast, I believe, is one. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. They pop up in my list every now and then, and Religion for Breakfast is the only one I can think of off the top of my head. But so if you're interested in those things and all that, plug that into your search results and all that, and have the algorithm give you all the rest of them. Some of them are, I try to like the ones that are more academic than yes, I would have to say that that is a good thing to do. Praying for your wife for a positive outcome. But I think the hardest thing to do is to understanding that there might not be a positive outcome, or the positive outcome might be years later in a different direction. Uh, and that's probably the hardest thing to do. I sure miss you on the phone. Okay. Are you? I'm not sure if that was directed towards me because I'm confused. Dwight, thank you for coming. If you were if you were looking for a notification on the phone, I was a half an hour late. My time management skills wasn't up to being manageable today. So, but you have sort of walked in on a very, I guess, very heavy conversation with rail artists. But I think we should probably aim for something lighter. My ambition is to get the diorama done either tonight. That's good, rail artist. And yeah, it's one of those things of we all want positive outcomes, no matter what the situation is. And I believe that your wife is in good hands, so that is a good thing. And also, this another thing is that another hard thing to do is look for the positive small things. Like today, with the woman who was celebrating her 99th birthday today, she recognized who I was. We had a nice conversation. It's like I've seen people in their early 70s not as aware as she is. Ooh, the main course into the microwave. Well, you got to tell us what it is when you get back. Speaking of the main course, probably should wander to the other camera and switch over to there. And hopefully it has not moved. It has not moved. All right, now we switch over here. And tonight, I'm going to see about actually putting in the rails. All right, let's see what we got. All right. All right, looks like I gotta go this direction. All right. Thing is, I found out with Code 55 Rail, it's actually cheaper to get it as pre-made N-scale track and take the rails off than it is to buy the rails separately. Oop, did I just... Nope. I thought I had accidentally hit the camera, but I did not. So everything looks, from what I can tell, back to being flat. So there we go. So this is long enough to go across the entire diorama. We'll take out the easy one first, the one that is on that side of the flexible side of the track. And I'll go through and start taking off the rigid side without theoretically bending stuff too much. All right, looks like I can do this with the hands. All right. Oh, okay. Apparently they make these in the plastic parts in 1.5 foot lengths. Now, one thing I did forget to snag was the 6 foot 6-foot blocks that I have that are preset to gauge this to 6 foot. All right. Head around here. I hope. I think it should. Is this one of them? No, this is 9 foot. So it's nowhere near where I'm supposed to be at. Let's see. That's one that I thought I had gotten right, but I did not. First, I'm looking for something that looks like this that says 6 foot on it. And did I remember to make it so it was easily accessible tonight? No, I did not. So I might have to make another one. Now, it's actually very easy to make one, but all right, let's see. Ooh, I actually might have found it. Here, that I found ones that might be close to the 6 footers. Alright, looks like none of these are marked 6 foot. Wait a second. Yeah, I think these are reversely marked and tagged to be made into ties. explains why I found a lot of them together. Short ones. Let's see, we do have some short ones. So let's see how close they are to 6. And these are popsicle sticks, and I think I was originally planning on making them into 9-foot ties because they are pretty close to these, which are 9 scale feet. All right. Scale. Have these at 6. No, these are 8. All right, so it looks like I'm going to have to turn around and make more 6-foot ones. All right. All right. Well, making 6-foot gauges for doing the track is very simple when you got an Ultimation sander. Let's push this a little bit. I need to move the camera a little bit. That'll work. So we can turn around, take one of these that are 8 foot. And we can sand it down to 6. I have to need at least 2. But first we'll square these up. Now that these are straight, or relatively straight, now let's see if this is 90 degrees. And it looks like it might be 90 degrees. Now, the trick is, how far do we flatten it to, let's go this direction. All right, what I could do. Thing is, I recently got something that would make this squaring things up a little bit easier to do. I ordered these back in March, and they finally got here yesterday, or Friday actually. They are 1, 2, 3 blocks. Oh, it is the one I was thinking of. But they're 1, 2, 3 blocks. This was the box that was slightly damaged, so the paper that they have on them are all over the place. But yeah, brand new 1, 2, 3 blocks. These are usually used for machinery, but a lot of model railroads use these. And now the thing about the 1, 2, 3 blocks, the reason why they're called 1, 2, and 3 is that they are 1 inch tall, 2 inches wide, and 3 inches deep. I'm assuming there's a close metric version, which I'm not. I would assume 20, 40, 60. That's what I would assume. It's the same ratio. It's all in metric, and it's close to 1, 2, and 3, 1 inch, 2 inch, and 3 inch. One of the interesting things is with the 1, 2, 3 blocks is that on this particular style, these 5 are actually threaded, and they're also machined at 90 degrees, so it's actually easy to take something. Now with a sander or something like this, you got to be a little bit careful because, well, you don't want to scratch the surface too much on it. So let's make it obviously off of 90 degrees. Push this. It's one of those things you want to keep the cutting part stiff, so it doesn't cause that. And then when nothing is moving, take that way, and that should be perfectly square now. I wound up buying 3 sets, but it's one of those things of it's one of those nice tools to have. It's not required, but it is sort of kind of nice to have. All right. Understand. Yeah, as you can tell from Rail Artist, he has gone to cook something for his wife, so he will be back. And right now, I have misplaced where I had made 6-foot gauges for track spacing, and I have misplaced them, so I'm making new ones. And since it's easy to make now, let's see. Let's mark exactly how far we have to go. Might actually have to turn around and cut this to make things go quicker. Yeah, we're at 8 foot. We need to go 6, which is down here. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of sanding, so let's start cutting instead. Grab this. Now, unfortunately, I do not have a small enough vise for this. I would put this in a vise to cut it. double check, see if that's the right cut. Wait a second. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Okay, it's close. It's one of those things I want it close so it can be sanded. Okay. Break that off. Let's continue sanding it until it is 6 foot. Start with that. And bring that in to give it a little tension. And that should go down real quick. A lot quicker than it was the whole thing. And it's getting ready to hit all of it right across. Now, this theoretically should be at, it's not quite at 6 foot yet. So we'll flip it over and give the other side a good flattening out. And this is where you gotta sort of like take it slow. You don't want to go too far. All right, this is. I almost want to say maybe 5 more. Now, since this is a diorama, and I don't have any equipment to go on this yet, so I'll go a little bit more. Let's see what that does. Once I start building stuff and all that, I probably should actually make metal. All right, so these are now at 6. So now I can start adding stuff together. Now, one of the tricks with using this type of gauge is that you have to remember that it has to go up against the rail head, not the rail base. If it goes to the foot, it winds up being too wide because then what happens is that the gauge is too wide because the foot is usually wider than the head. So you want sort of just the head. I'm trying to get trying to just do just the head, not the foot of the rail. Which is pretty tricky. All right. No. It's like I almost want to put like a piece of card or something directly under it to keep it in its position, or at least raise it up so it's not touching. It's not touching the base. One of the interesting things I saw on YouTube today was they went out where I guess they filmed Back to the Future and went over the rails where that was. And it's pretty interesting. I guess I've heard that they left the set there, but what I didn't know, apparently, I want to say they said it was like 97 or something, where brush fire broke out and burned everything down to the ground. It's sort of kind of sad, but the thing is that a lot of stuff made for Hollywood is not designed to last long anyway, so. Okay, now before I go too farther, I need to put the bridge in. And also find the super glue, because that's how I wound up sticking it in there before. Small things of super glue. If I was to do something larger, like a full track or something like that, I probably would have went maybe with bigger bottles of super glue. Starting to regret taking the bridge out. Take the bridge out so I can, get easier access to stuff. But I think that might have been the wrong thing to do. All right, nope, it's fitting back in. All right, sorry for getting the head in the way. Just trying to position the bridge in a nice orientation. Trying to get the number of boards at least straight. I do believe I have it straight now. All right, let's double check the chat. Oh, all right. Someone's going into lurking mode. Yeah, one thing I found out about the microphone that I'm using, that it is not omnidirectional. And I keep on forgetting to repoint the microphone. So sorry about that. All right. Set that there. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the best camera setup. I got a webcam that's very janky hanging off of a quarter 24-foot rod and held up by zip ties. Very, very professional looking. All right. So that'd be funny. Nah, wouldn't look out that a 6 foot would be 1 inch, but would have been nice. All right, now sort of aim this correctly. Right now I'm not actually setting the gauge, but I am sort of trying to get the rails together so I can get a feeling of where they should fit, and then basically tack one down, and then eventually tack the other one on using the gauge. But it is sort of kind of interesting of using code 55, which is normally associated with N scale, because the track weight of the time was the same poundage as code 55 rail. So, all right, I want that there. So start using super glue without gluing myself to said glue. Okay, get that up there. I'm doing my best not to glue myself to the diorama. That'd be annoying. I can almost use the guidelines on the bridge where it was super glued before. This is the super glue ties on the bridge. That's how I was able to keep the bridge from moving around. Use a 1, 2, 3 block to hold that in position. Toothpick. Not that I want a toothpick. There we are. And when buying toothpicks, I find out putting them into 3 different categories is a good thing. First category is showpieces, basically things that you want to be able to put on a layout. Um, that making them for post logs, something you can see it on, putting it on the layout. Then there are what I call unpretty ones. I mean, they're still usable on the layout, but not necessarily in the foreground, sort of like in the background. Possibly like a popsicle stick trees or something along those lines. And then what I affectionately call glue sticks. They're the ones that are really ugly looking. You might be missing chunks out of it, might not be completely round. Of course, I have to pick up one that's neither of those. And thing is, the ones that are not completely round, as you can see, they don't quite roll well, which is something that you're looking for, something that does not quite roll perfectly, so it doesn't roll down and get glue everywhere. All right. So from here, all right. Looks like the looks like this has a slight kink in it. Since super glue is relatively faster than other glues, probably get away with this moving stuff. I'm gonna bet that what I'm doing right now is out of frame. Yes, it's way out of frame. Basically, what I was doing was I got the other 1, 2, 3 block is out of camera range. Using that to sort of put stuff down where I want. Of course, using the super glue to sort of put the one rail in place. All right, now let's move this here into frame. How straight is this? That is straight. Okay, it's straighter. All right. Yeah, this super glue seems to be a little on the older side. That's why I like using these sort of disposable ones, because things are not quite right. You wind up not using them that much. You're only losing. How big is this? 1 gram of it instead of a whole ounce. Rather lose a gram and go that direct. Small gram instead of losing a whole ounce. Because ounces are expensive. These are actually, I haven't been able to find these lately, which is annoying. They're more they're more expensive this way, but there's less waste. If that makes any sense to you. Used to be able to get these at either a dollar store or a hardware store. Usually the dollar store. But, so the stringiness is going to be, seems to be in the way. But this is going to be going away because, well, it's only a gram, so it's one of those things of, you run out of them quickly, but at the same time, if you don't use them like this, I haven't used this in a while, it winds up, you only wind up throwing out this much instead of a whole ounce of it. Now, if you're doing something that's a large thing all at once, then it makes sense to have the ounce one. But usually I only use about this much at a time, or maybe 2 ounces. So it's one of those things of it. This makes it more cost effective for me for using them, using these little gram things, even though they're more expensive. But I don't wind up wasting. I don't use that much. One thing I was trying to figure out how to do was this little pond over here. Because Mod Podge, although it dries clear, is not a very Not a very uh, flat thing. And I just looked at the clock, and I'm way over time. This was supposed to have been only a half an hour, and it's almost winds up being a whole hour. So people who, or am I reading that wrong? No, I am not reading that wrong. It is now 8:09. I'm so used to doing a whole hour show that, yeah, so used to doing an hour show, I just kept right on going. Who is, oh, Rick is on now. Okay. Well, I guess I'll be seeing people over on Rick's channel. Sorry for the delay in getting off and all that, but time management has not been working this week. So the way I look at it is I think the world needs more love. So find your passion, add some silliness to it, and spread it around. So, well, thank you very much, Dwight. But I guess I'll see everyone over on Rick's channel. Bye.